What is up, Need for Speed racers? It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut. I'm here today to teach you manual transmission driving in Need for Speed Unbound and Redline tech. Two awesome techniques to help you get faster in the game, and there's some subtle things you can do to help you get better at it quickly and to teach you how to do it in any car you get in versus learning one car and the transmission gear ratios. I am going to apply some of my real world knowledge to what I'm teaching you today so that you can take that with you and really apply it to any game. There is some misinformation or bad information, or just I have a very strong opinion that is the opposite of what is currently being shared. And I want to bring you my take on it because honestly, if you were learning this other way, I think it can be really detrimental to your in-game racing skills. And if you were to apply any of that to real-world knowledge, it could potentially be fatal. So let me go through that with you. I'm going to share with you my real-world experience first, why I do what I do, and then we're going to apply that directly to the game so you can get a real-life racer's aspect on what we have and then take that into Need for Speed as well. A little bit about me. I race motorcycles competitively in real life. I have a Yamaha R1. I race on track, not drag racing, road racing. So dropping a knee in all the corners, going real fast, tipping it over, racing against 20 other guys. It is a blast. And I'm a racing enthusiast because of that. So when I play a racing game, I apply a lot of the knowledge that I already have from IRL experience and bring it into the digital world. When I am racing my bike, I do not look at my dashboard when I am shifting. There are current tutorials on how to manual shift that are telling you, well, just look at the RPMs, look at your speed. That way you know when to shift from first into second or second into third, vice versa. If you were to apply that statement to a real-life experience, on track, that could get you killed. In game, it'll get you running into a taxi cab. So let's not do that. Let me show you the right way. When I'm on my bike and I'm shifting, I don't look down. A lot of guys don't even have a gauge cluster. It's just been removed from the bike entirely because we don't need it. I wear earplugs, I wear a helmet, and even with the wind noise and everything else, the bike is telling me when it's time to shift through audio cues. Now, not everybody has the same hearing sense. Not everybody has the ability to hear. I've got some guys in the crew that are deaf, and huge shout out to them for playing manual and making it work. But for the grand majority of you guys, this is going to be applicable. So that's why I bring it to you in this sense. The bike, the car, whatever you are driving has an audio cue, and it's the engine going through the RPMs. It starts low and it gets higher. It builds. And it goes to the top of the RPM range. What you're looking for is that audio cue at the high end of the RPM range when the car is screaming at you that it's doing everything it can, and now it's time to shift. And that's what I'm going to help you find in game. And once you learn that audio cue, you can apply that to any car. It doesn't matter what the shift points are, because once you learn one sound, you no longer need to know the speeds for each gear because you can hear when it's time to shift up or down. And that trick is going to take you so much further, so much faster, because now you don't have to look down, you can look ahead. It's going to keep you involved in the game. On my bike, if I'm looking down at my gauge cluster, I could miss my braking marker and blow the corner. I could miss the guy coming up around me from a draft, and then when I go to tip into the corner, I tip into him, and then we both crash, and that could be fatal. I'm up, I'm looking ahead of me the whole time as far as I can see and listening for the bike. So, just the bike's clicking down, and we're going through the gears. We're going to do that in game together. First and foremost, getting your audio set up for the game and the car is a really cool trick that I don't think anybody's teaching you guys. So let's go do that first. A little bit of warning. I've got the in-game sounds turned up to the moon so you can hear it. So the way the menu is set up, there's some background sounds. So just bear with me on that. But I wanted to do this so that way I can really exaggerate the car sound so you'll hear what I'm talking about. So I've now clicked into the game. You hear that background audio. If you go to style and then go to exhaust sound, this is something that you can use, you guys. So if I'm at smooth and I've got it turned all the way down, the exhaust note sounds like this. If I take that and I go all the way to aggressive with it, now the exhaust note sounds like this. You hear how we get more tone out of it when we go to the aggressive side? Now, with the tone for stock and custom, in this car, it sounds like it kind of mutes it a little bit, so I'll probably keep it stock. But when you guys are doing this, set up your cars, get that exhaust note to where you can hear it the best that you can, and then work from there. Now that we've got our exhaust note set up, let's actually set up the car for manual shifting. You're going to go to your settings, you're going to click on driving. You're going to put the gearbox in manual mode with auto reverse turned off. The reason we turn it off is that is going to now allow you to pre-shift before the race starts. So when it's doing the cutscene showing everybody's cars, you can sit there and tap your bumper and put your car into third, fourth, whatever gear. So that way when the race starts, you're already in that higher gear and you get that perfect start with all the boost and the NOS, and you're going to launch much, much harder than you would if you were in first. And it skips a lot of gear shifts, thus saving you time on your launch, making you faster. If you have auto reverse set to on, that makes it so if you get into a stop scenario where you crash into something and it maybe doesn't reset you, you can just pull the trigger and it'll do auto reverse, but it doesn't allow you to pre-shift, so it's kind of detrimental to that launch. And that launch is huge, so make sure you have auto reverse set to off. Now that we've got that setting out of the way, let me go to this other piece that nobody's sharing with you. Go to audio. Set your speakers for whatever you have for you. I have stereo speakers behind my monitor that fire at the wall so I can just hear all the sounds coming through. That way when I stream and stuff, I don't have to have a headset on. Feels more natural for my communication with you guys. But if you run a headset or a 7.1 surround sound, whatever, set this to what you have. I think reduced range for the audio dynamic is better. I think I can hear the car better personally. You might check that based on if you have headphones on or whatever, but I think I could hear the car the best for myself with reduced range. Master volume, turn that all the way up. Music, I have set to off. I don't want any distractions. Also, when I stream, I can't have any copyrighted music. Garage music off, event music off. All the music is off because I only want to hear the car. The car volume is set to 100. The speech volume is set to 0. The effects volume is set to 100. The car volume and the effects volume are synonymous with one another. If you turn the effects volume to 0, the car makes no noise at all. It's really weird. I don't know why it's set up that way. I didn't design the game. But just make sure you have car volume and effects volume set to 100, you guys. UI, cop scanner volume, all the rest of that, I have it set to 0. So I only hear the car and the boost. Now that we've got that set, let me take you out on the road and let's work on listening to the car so we know when to shift. Alright, we're out on the road, we're in our McLaren. What we're listening for is the tone that the car makes. I'm going to take us up in 5th gear and I want you to just listen to the engine sound as we go through. And this can be applied to any car. Once you learn the tone that it's at when it wants you to shift, you only have to learn that one sound per car as opposed to 100 different shift points along all the cars. And you only have to get in the car and drive it just a little bit to know what that sound is, and you're right there. So, we're going to take off in 5th. We're listening. So you hear that engine, it's slowly getting higher and higher, and then it bounces. The bounce tells you it's time to shift. So we'll do that again. So we'll do it in 4th. 5th. We're just listening for the engine because it screams at you the loudest right before it's time to shift. And then it bounces. So what we're doing here is we're just learning the car sounds, and then you know when to shift based on that. So once you know the sounds, you can pretty much shift up without even looking at anything. You can just hear it. For example, I can pretty much do it with my eyes closed. Let me see. I'm going to try not to crash here. sure I'm not going to crash. I'm listening. It's getting close. Now it's bouncing. So that's one technique, you guys. Like, don't look at the speedo, don't look at the shift points, the speed when you're going and all that noise. Get away from that. Listen to your car. Find out what it wants from you. That way you know where to shift. And if you want to start by just listening for the bounce, it's not going to cost you that much time. So just let me show you the same thing, but I'm going to wait for the bounce. So it's... Got the cop takedown there. So that's the technique, guys, is listening for the sound and then shifting when it gets to the top of that RPM range. If you get accustomed to looking down at, you know, your speedo, you're gonna be looking over there instead of looking at traffic ahead of you, and it's gonna cause you to miss things. It's gonna cause you to hit things, and you're gonna change your focus and direct it away from where the race is at, which is in front of you, as opposed to over here where it says 5,000 RPM. So you can also use that in the reverse order. Let's listen to it the other way. So watch when let's do it out of third gear. So when we shift out of third gear into fourth, it shifts to about 6,500 RPMs. So the gear ratio, or where this car's making power, is from about halfway through the 6 to the top end of the RPM range. So we know that from that tone there through the rest of the RPM range is good. When that tone is lower than like 6,500, and see, I'm looking over the speedometer, not looking at traffic. When it's see how it's lugging. It feels like it's lugging. We're not in the good tone yet. We're low. It's bassy. Down here, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound right. That's not the tone I'm familiar with. So if you're in the game setting and you're driving around and you come out of a corner and you hear that, you know you need to click down, and then you grab that next gear. So if you're out driving, you're running, you come out of a corner and you hear this, oh, you're like, nope, I need the lower gear. And then it gets you into the RPM range you want to be in. So knowing the high sound to shift, but also the lowest sound of the gear ratio, which in this car is like 6.5. And the way to find that, you guys, is just wait for the car to be telling you it's time to shift, and then listen to that next tone that it gives you. That's the low end and the high end right there. Anything in that range is good. You're in the power. Anything lower than that, and you need to downshift one to get into the next lower gear so you're in the power again. And if it's bouncing, it's time to shift up. Let me show you a little bit about Redline tech. Let me switch cars. Alright, Redline tech. I'm going to show you that in the Fox body because this is a great example. It is an S329 build. It says its top speed is 171, and that is because we are currently using the 4-speed transmission. You'll see that even though it says that, when we're full speed, it does about 175, 176. And so that's stats in this game are kind of bugged, you guys. They're not always accurate. And I'm really going to show you how far off that top speed stat truly is once you understand Redline technique. So let me get it out on the road. I just wanted to show you this build really quick. So if you too want to practice, you can. It's the 4.9 liter with Elite Platinum all the way across in the engine. And then you throw an Elite Platinum bottle in there with the Sentry, with the 4-speed tranny. And I even threw a gold clutch in it just to get the points up. But at the end of the day, I really just want to show you guys what Redline tech can really do versus what the game tells you. So keep in mind, it says 171. Let me show you what it really does. Alright, so we're out in-game. We're in the Fox body. Redline tech is the skill of getting the needle as close to the RPM range without bouncing as possible. So before, we were waiting for that bounce as our audio cue for it to shift. You want to get it as close and get that engine as high in the RPM sound as possible without actually bouncing, and you're going to be able to get some extra speed out of the car. And we're also going to listen for the shifts in this car so we can learn that tone as well. So first gear, it just sits there and bounces almost immediately. Click into second. Third, you hear it. So it's and then it bounces. It's only got a 4-speed, so there's not a lot of shifting in this car. And there we are bouncing off the red one. Now you'll see it said 171. We're going like 176 right now, and it's bouncing like crazy, right? 177. So right out of the gate, we've already got like 6 mile an hour faster than what the game told us. Let me show you what some Redline tech does. And so I'm going to actually get out of the throttle a little bit. I'm only holding the trigger maybe 80%, maybe 70%. Now we're going 191. Shoot, that's a lot faster than what it said. It said it only did 171. This is worth 20 mile an hour compared to what it told us. So if you get a car that's got a lot more power than what the transmission's geared for, if you just sit there and you hold the RPMs and bounce, we're only going to get 175, 176, in a perfect straight line, maybe 177. But we're coming around that corner, we're only doing like 175, 176, guys. Redline Tech is making the needle in the RPM range not bounce and getting the most out of the transmission. Alright, you guys, we're going to run Apex Predator, and I'm going to do it in the Vulcan because the Vulcan sounds good and it's got 6 gears. The real car for this is the Regera, but it's got 1 gear, so it kind of goes against the entire video. One thing I do want to show you guys, the way I hold my controller, so this is gas right here. When I'm holding it, I can just roll my knuckle up onto the bumper, and you can see that I can press it like that. And so I'm not doing claw grip. That's crazy. That's crazy. Nobody should do claw grip. We've been holding controllers like this our entire lives. Do not start doing this. You'll crash a lot. But yeah, so I'm just there, and all I do is use the gas, and then I just roll my knuckle up to touch the button. And it's really easy to shift. With the Vulcan, we're going to get a good pre-shift. I moved the mic as close to me as possible because the game sounds louder, so I want you guys to be able to hear me talking over the car, but I want you guys to hear the audio of the car. It's hard to find a balance, boys. So we already pre-shifted a bunch. We'll launch in 3rd gear. Good hard launch there. Top of the gear, click into 4th. Now downshift into 2nd because it's a slow corner. Click 3rd. I'll stay in 3rd. Just going to stay in 3rd for this spot. A little low, but boost carried us back up. So now I'm going to shift down into 2nd because it's a really tight corner. Click 3rd, then use boost. I'll let it bounce a 2nd because there's no point to shift because we're getting right on the brakes. Gonna micro drift this corner, get a grip turn. Tron turn to the left. Through the trees. Downshift for the corner. Boost out. Stay in 3rd. Here, downshift to 2nd because I know I'm going slow. Just doing this whole section in 3rd, you guys. Ooh, barely missed the checkpoint. Catch it a little bit. Click 4th. I hear it coming. There's 5th. Downshift back to 4th. I've got boost. I'm going to get into 5th and then hit the boost. That way we carry our boost all the way through 5th gear. Grab 6th. We're in top gear now. I know that I'm going to be slowing down for this corner, so I'm going to boost, turn, downshift again. And that's all just knowing that I've slowed down a bunch, so there's no way I need to be in that same gear. But the car's got a tone. It's that very high-pitched, like, scream, like the engine's going as hard as it can. And when I hear it yelling at me like that, I know it's time to shift. So I'm going to do a Tron turn here and downshift mid-corner, so that way I'm in the right gear on the exit. Catch 4th, then boost. Catch back to 3rd because we slowed down a lot. We're slowing down even more. Grab 2nd. Shift into 3rd, then hit the boost. Shift into 4th, hit the boost. Slow corner here. I know that I want to be in 2nd from last lap. Now I'm going to stay in 3rd and then Boost around this corner. And those are little Tron turns, you guys. I'm hitting the boost and then tapping the E-brake. So if you guys need to back it up and kind of see that, I'm going to do it again here. It's like I literally am rolling the buttons. I'm pressing almost both of them at the same time. Get a grip turn. We're going to do a 90-degree turn here. And die on the trees. I knew I was going to be slowing down, so I just downshifted before I got on the corner. Boost out. And you saw it bouncing there for a second. That's because it was breaking loose on the gravel. Third's still pretty good. It's going to get us right out of third real fast. Second gear would have been too bad there, but it didn't really hurt as much. Come through that corner. Avoid traffic. We're doing all this in third gear, you guys. There's fourth. After we come around this corner, I'm going to hit the boost. Catch fifth gear. Catch sixth gear. Sometimes you guys will see me look over at the speedometer. Usually what I'm doing is I'm not really looking at the speed so much as I'm checking my boost level, because sometimes you need to have 3 bars or 2 bars. I know this is a slow corner, so I'm going to downshift into second. Wrap second out. Grab fourth and then hit the boost. So that way we're using the boost to carry us all the way through the corner. Or all the way through the gear, excuse me. So we'll just stay in third here for a second, because I knew I was going to hit the boost to get us back up to speed. Use our nitrous. Boost turn. Lots of brakes, tapping it. Down in second, because I know it's slow. Down in second, because I know it's slow. Third gear, boost. Fourth. And that is Apex Predator with lots and lots of shifts. If you guys want to practice, grab a very technical track. The longer ones, the better. And just working the gears up and down, up and down. I never hit first gear once that entire race. We worked second, third, and fourth a lot. And then on that back straightaway, we find fifth and sixth. But really, you're just using second, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And so you might find that on most tracks, if you pre-shift and you launch in third or fourth gear, you're only shifting between 2 or 3 gears. And then it's just understanding that, hey, I've slowed down, click into the next gear so I've got the power coming out. And as long as you're close, most of these cars have enough power to get you out of trouble. It's really only in the lower tiers like B and A that you really are going to find yourself. If you're in the wrong gear, it's really going to hurt you. But the launch makes up for it in a lot of ways. And so a little bit of practice, have a little fun, and enjoy it. The biggest thing, and I'll leave you with this, it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. If it frustrates you and you're not enjoying it, and you don't feel like you're progressing, it's not fun for you, don't worry about it. It's not worth it. If you're not enjoying the time you're spending playing a game, don't play the game. It's supposed to be fun. Don't get me wrong, improving, trying to overcome whatever it is an accomplishment, and that feels good. But don't let the manual transmission be the be-all, end-all of, oh, I've got to learn it. You can be super fast in auto. So either way, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.